Fantastic. Hello there, Master Hellish here, and welcome back to my OpenTTD Let's Play series. Now, since last time, we were pretty much coming up to the magic number of 1950, and that's where we sit now. This episode, we're going to be looking at some of your work following this Let's Play series, but before we get onto that, a couple of things. I have recently not been very well in a number of ways. I'm pretty much back to full health now, so I'm looking forward to catching up with my videos and catching up with my to-do list. So whilst we haven't had any OpenTTD or other videos out recently, I'm hoping that lots more will be coming out soon. Secondly, we recently had my 24-hour festive charity live stream. We raised £1,000 including gift aid donations, and which is a fantastic amount of money, and I would like to thank everybody who took part, joined in, helped to make the event what it was, and also, of course, those who donated too. So thank you very much. If you want to watch that or the LAN party that happened the week before, the videos are coming out on my streaming channel at the moment, so hop over to that. So back on with today's game. What's going on? Well, we have a number of incarnations of this game that we're going to be looking at from other people. Thank you so much for all of your contact and comments and questions on this series so far, and thank you very much for sending in your game saves and telling me how you guys are getting along. I can't show them all, there's just too many for me to fit in an episode, but we are going to be having a look at some of the ones I've randomly picked. So I've randomly picked 4 of them, and we're going to take a look at those now. So first up is this little beauty from Stilgar, and he has taken an interesting approach here, and I think there's a few things to talk about. So we're going to pause this game for him so we can look at some of the statistics first. It is January 1950 in Stilgar's game, and he currently has 1,819 people. Now, Hellishville in 1950 has 2,047, so Stilgar is a little bit behind on the population growth. If we have a look at actually the information here, we can see the town has been growing for 12 months in a row, indicating recently, within the last year, there was a break of growth, which is probably what slowed it down. The growth has been 99 times over the last 120, so a good proportion of growth overall. First thing I notice here is Stilgar has very much stretched out the road network. He really wants this town to expand quite nicely, probably doing it as part of his planning. And the second thing, which we all noticed straight away, I'm sure you have already, is these stations here. We've got 2 stations which appear to be pretty much identical, except one's going in one direction and one's going in the other, indicated by the signals, presumably. They appear to be a row setup, but yeah, they are. They're a row setup, and he's used tunnels and lowered them down in the city so that the trains can come in and go into towns. Presumably, then the buildings can grow around the stations. So this is a really good way of not strangling your city. Strangling your city means that you're going to end up making it difficult for the town to spread in certain directions. The game will say, "Oh, I want to grow. Can I put a house here?" No. Oh, well, I won't do that then. And various things like that. And he's used a little bit of a dip here to put a signal in. I think that is that's the last signal before the station. So he's got quite a big lead into the station. Ideally, I think another signal right in front of this junction would have been better, but with the space he's given himself, he's gone with this 3x3 grid, the same as me, and that's because the game generation for the cities, the road network, is a 3x3 network in this. So working with that network rather than against it is always going to be good for city building. We all know, and it's been tested and shown, that if you lay a road network out first, the buildings will grow faster, and that's what we want, town growth. So yeah, these stations are both very interesting. So especially in the early game, it's going to have cost him more money to lower the land and put those tunnels in. In the mid-game, he's going to get big benefits from it because the town's going to spread quite easily and quite nicely around those 2 stations. towards the end game, I'm a little bit worried because he's only got these 2 stations and it's going to be really difficult to expand them. The only thing I can think of is maybe putting in other stations in other directions, and you can't cross tunnels on the standard OpenTTD like that, not without cheats anyway. So how would you then add more stuff going in and out? If you think about it, we're going to have, I think, up to 9 different commodities being delivered into the town. Okay, so even if you're having one train delivering that into the town, you're looking here at having only 6 tracks. How are you going to get 9 commodities into the town with only 6 tracks? It's going to be difficult for him. I'm going to be really interested to see what he changes and how he grows in order to keep hold of that. But like I said, in the early and probably the mid game, this is going to give him advantages in terms of town growth. It's really a good idea, which I haven't thought of doing this series. You can see if we zoom out that there's 2 main ring lines. There's a line coming in from this southern sort of area, which of course splits off, rings round the city and goes in. Now in a normal game this wouldn't be a good thing to do because your trains are going a longer distance, which means you're going to get less money, less profit. But this game isn't about profit, it's about making this city grow and delivering those passengers. So he's sacrificed some profit there by having a longer line, so that's a brilliant thing. Over on this side we've got something similar. We've got the line going in and then a big loop across the back, except this time it seems to go off in 2 directions. We've got one going off here to the kind of southwest, and one heading off here to the kind of northish sort of direction, and they join up and come over to Punxsutawn. So instead of bridging this gap across this lake like I have done, he's gone across the top edge there and come into the northern part of the city. I can see that he's also got buses going around inside the city. From what I remember, a bus going from inside itself in the city I think does count as passenger delivery, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I can't remember now. He hasn't included Drangingville like we did, but what we have got down here, he's gone straight past Nudtown, ignored it completely, and come into Slarnway. So the 2 big cities here, Punxsutawn and Slarnway, are also being used by Stilgar. Now a good thing that he's done here is he's followed the coast route. So he's come out the bottom of the city and he's got his 2 tracks and he's not kept them together. He's taken the best route for building that particular part of the track, and then it comes across and it's relatively flat and even. He's even used a bridge to try and keep that track at the right height. But what we did is we went straight through the top of the hillside, so our trains have got deficits in the way that they're travelling. Well, let's have a look and see what else is on the network here. There's a lot of stuff down here that we haven't got. A lot. And I think, yes, here we go, look, we've got an, what's this here? It looks like, have we got any trains waiting? No trains waiting, but there is what appears to be an aluminium plant. Now this might be something where he's planning to get metal ready for bringing in later, I'm not sure, but there is a farm there, an arable farm, doing grain and sugar, and if we follow that line, it's coming in round here, and let's see, what we've got here, is this a grain mill? So it's going to a grain mill, and that's where he's going to get his food from. At the moment, he's got 135 tons of food coming out of that grain mill. Assuming that he delivers it all, and that these figures are in now, are these figures units or tons? I think they're units, aren't they? Maybe tons. Yeah, look, it says there, storage units, but the unit might be ton, no idea. I think it is, yes it is. So if he's producing 135, we don't know how much food he's going to need because we're not into 2,000 population yet. But overall, a nice little network down here. He's obviously found quite a few farms to connect up. Look, there's another one there as well, and of course he looks like he's got all of these sandbanks hooked up, or at least will have sometime soon. He's got, oh no, they're not those sandbanks. So it's not the sandbanks, he's got some docks down here. Is he bringing, what on earth is he doing with those docks? He's got a ship here that's carrying scrap metal. It is carrying scrap metal. Oh look, there we go, it's from the scrap yard. So he's using the docks to get the scrap metal from the scrap yard and bring it over here to get some metal going. Now if we follow this metal, presumably then that is going to go to some sort of That's a sugar refinery, which is making food. Ooh, that's an interesting way of doing it. Let's have a look at this supply chain here. Oh yes, so there's the sugar refinery and it creates food. But what's he got coming in? You can have sugar beet, which comes from only arable farms. Ah, there's lots of arable farms around here, isn't there? What's that? That's an arable farm. Ah, right. Okay, so he's getting the grain and the sugar beet to make the food, not just the grain like we are. That is a nice little network down there. It might be something that we have to implement later on. It's not too far from Hellishville, and there's lots of different farms and things around here to connect it all up. I'm not sure I'd connect it up in exactly the same way, but it's certainly a good idea. What we've got up here? Ooh, we've got a new stuff. This is where the metal's going to come. We can see that here. And it looks like he's getting the metal for manufacturing supplies. So there we go. My instincts about manufacturing supplies were true. If we have a quick look at the map, we can see that that is pretty much all of what Stilgar has done on the world map. Let's turn off the town name so we can see a little bit better. So food coming from a completely different place and passengers using those two cities as previously. Right, well, that's Stilgar's effort. Overall, extremely good. A little bit behind what we're doing, and some things that he's got to figure out later on with his stations, but a really good network. Let's just have a quick check on the trains. He's got 28 trains, which he's not as many as our 42 trains, so he's obviously been more efficient with his trains. The one there is earning 102,000 in 1 year. And if we look at his finances, how much has he got in the bank? Yeah, just under $1 million with no loan. Doing quite well. Well done, Stilgar. We will see. I'm looking forward to seeing how yours grows. Now let's move on to NTB Gaming. Okay, so here we are with NTB Gaming's particular playthrough. First thing I noticed with this one is there is not a lot of road laid out. There's some on this side of the city around where the HQ is, but there's generally not too much. This is going to be something that hampers the growth, and if we look at the size of Hellishville, it's 1,764. So whilst he's been doing really well on this game so far, it's not quite as well as what it could be. So I think probably the next things to do on this particular playthrough would be expand this road network as soon as possible. If we have a look at the targets here and see what's going on, we can see that the town has now been growing for 69 months in a row and has grown for 91 months out of a total of 122. So this 69 tells me that it's relatively stable at the moment. You can see here that the storage is at 99 and 98% for passengers and mail, so that's not too bad at all. So overall, he's been quite stable recently and has had good growth. It looks like earlier on in the game that there was a little bit of problem in getting that growth up. If we zoom out a little bit, we can see that Slanway has again taken a big part in this particular playthrough. In fact, the town's up to 10,000 population already. Granning Well is incorporated as well as Nudtown, so it's something similar there, but again, similar to Stilgar, following the coastal route instead of going the stupid way over the hill like I did. If we go this way, there's something quite similar going on here to us as well. Punstow City's been connected up in a similar fashion, as well as Drangville, but there we've got this extra bit of networking that we didn't have previously. And what we got here? We've got a stockyard. The stockyard is making food. I don't think this stockyard is on our map. I think this is something that has been built and has appeared on NTB's map. And because this stockyard is here, that means that this sheep farm here has been able to be transporting livestock to the stockyard, and of course that then means it looks like he's got food ready to come in. So let's take a quick look at the finances. Wow, okay, so no loan and some good money in the bank. We're talking at 1.8 million. Not quite the 2 million that we've got, but definitely good stead. Let's just have a quick look at the world map as well and see how far out this network goes. Right, we're looking at quite a compact network, and there's a city that we've missed and some other bits as well, so let's check that out. So if we come this way from Hellishville East, we can see that he's incorporated Womborough Valley. Now this city is something that I want to do in my Let's Play. I want to grow this city as part of the passenger supply network for Hellishville. The only thing is that I haven't got around to it yet, so it's something that we'll be looking at doing. 6,000 population. There's, you know, you've got 99 passengers waiting there to head out. That's pretty good. There's also some more sheep farms around here, which is connected up, and there is a stockyard and a dairy and all sorts. What we got going on here? There's a weird train here. Look at this train. It's got all sorts of things on it. It's got a number of carriages and something else in the end. Let's have a look. We've got food vans and oil tankers. That's quite weird. Oh, he's carrying alcohol. So we've got food and we've got alcohol running already. Well, the alcohol, I think, is one of the last things on the list, on the to-do list. Let's go and have a look at the to-do list. Yes, alcohol at 10,000 population. So he's definitely been concentrating in part of the later game. Obviously saw the alcohol and couldn't resist. So yeah, overall, let's have a look here. Yeah, farm supplies, livestock. I don't know is it milk that's been brought from here? Let's have a look. It is milk that is being transported down this line. So a nice little food network going here, kind of like the one that I've started in the lower section around Denway. But I really have been concentrating much more up in the north here with my, I think there was this paper mill for the manufacturing supplies is what I've been working on, and these food rigs around here. So a really good start to the game. Just really needs to expand the road network out. The rail network itself looks quite efficient. I mean, this station here, the entrances could do with maybe splitting out. I don't see any reason why these two separate lines need to share the same platforms here. You could just, if we just let that run a second, there's no reason I can think of that you shouldn't be able, if I press the right button, to just disconnect those two. I can't see why you wouldn't be able to just disconnect them. Obviously that train's just crossed there to try and get to the depot. But yeah, there's going to be a crash as well. Oh no, there isn't going to be a crash. I thought there was going to be a crash then. But yes, I certainly think that would be more efficient, because then you've got two lots of trains going in and out. But overall, the rail network is looking very good indeed. Right, let's move on to our next version of the game and our next player. And here we are in Yard Dog Town. One thing I noticed about Yard Dog Town is that the roads haven't been expanded much, but they have been expanded a bit. It's certainly capturing all the new buildings that have been put in there, so that seems to be enough for now, but it certainly needs some expansion for later on. Seems to be a north and a south station here, and everything seems to be going in and out of the town. As well, there's also a bus and mail stop in the middle of town too. Using the bus stops on the road, of course, reduces the amount of space taken up within the buildings. That's good. Let's have a quick look at those finances. Oh wow, look at this. In January 1950, Yard Dog has accumulated over £5 million. That is absolutely fantastic. If we look here, we can see that most of the money is coming from train income. I'm sure we'll see a little bit about what's causing that. Let's go over to the actual growth information and statistics. The town at the moment is at 2,100. So Yard Dog is just ahead of us in the town growth. We can see that it's grown for 113 months in a row, and has grown for 114 months out of a total of 120. So really has been growing and growing, doing well. It looks like when it started to grow, there was a month that it grew, a month that it didn't grow, and then it's been growing ever since. So that is really good. It looks like here that there's a petrol station in. I'm presuming that he's put that in there. I don't remember seeing that. And down here there's a builder's yard. That's probably something that's part of his plans too. If we look at the world map for Yard Dog, we can see that the rail network is actually moderately expansive, especially to the north. We can see that most of the passengers appear to be coming from Slarnway, again taking the coastal route, as well as Nudtown, not taken in Gleningwell, but that's all coming in through the south there. So we do have two train stations coming from Slarnway, capturing as much as possible from both of those two sections there. I'm presuming that these bus routes here are transfer routes. Let's have a look, see what we've got here. Yep, so we've got the transfer truck as well, which is a kind of the legitimate way of expanding your station spread, so bringing in passengers that way. And we also have some stuff going on down here. It looks like, yep, we've got a brewery going on, but I don't think that that's what he's doing at the moment. It's food. We've got food coming out of, I'm guessing, this dairy. Darnway Dairy Brewery. So the brewery is for later on, probably. So yeah, no production at the moment, it says, but you can see that there's some there's some in the train. There's 51% loaded in the train, so that's certainly the case there. There is some dairy farms here, which appears to be getting livestock and milk. And which one comes to the dairy farm? It is the milk. So looks like he's collecting milk from nearby farms. There's one. Don't see any more. Oh, hang on a minute. What's this over here? He's got a bulk terminal. Not quite sure what that's about. That doesn't look like it's finished. It's not. No, there's some signals missing. So either he's forgot the signals, or it's just not finished yet. And I'm guessing that that's going to be to do with this bulk terminal. Maybe getting. Oh look, there we are. He's going to be making farm supplies. He's going to be getting probably food, I would have thought, turning them into farm supplies and bringing them back, I'm guessing, to this dairy farm. He'll need to upgrade this junction or change the way the station looks in order to do that down this line. There's a sheep farm there. Is there any more arable dairy farms nearby? There's plenty of sheep farms. Let's have a look at the world map. Go industries, disable all, and we want which kind of farm was it? Dairy farm. Dairy farm. There we go. There is another one not too far away. It looks like that's what. You can see that's what he's got connected up in the north here. He's got dairy farm, dairy farm, dairy farm, dairy. He's got 4 dairy farms there, presumably then all going to one particular place. Let's see if we can figure it out. So these stations, they look quite good. These junctions going in, they're a nice efficient junction there. These ones are really good junctions. The signals are nicely done. You can see he's using standard signals in between. Again, there's a dairy farm, but here I'm guessing he's using the paper mill as well. Yeah, he's creating manufacturing supplies and goods there. Let's have a look at those trains and see what's making all that fantastic money for him. If we go to profit last year, you can see that they've got passenger trains are the big ones for him. In particular, train 3, which is going between Slanway and Yardog Town. So he's really just shipping those passengers out from Slanway, getting them over to Hellishville, and really making the money out of it. So, nice little junction here. That's a good junction. I would have used a tunnel under the main line rather than a bridge. It depends whether you count it as a main line or not. This is an interesting set of junctions here, but it may be temporary. All refineries on the run. They're bringing oil in and presumably making chemicals and petrol. Yes, looks like it too. And then it looks like the fishing situation's going on the same as what we've got it. Except it looks like he's got an extra sandbank that's spawned, so that's good for him. And then that's all coming in. Not taken any advantage of Punstone yet. It looks like all the effort has been going into Slanway, and why bother with anything else? So overall, it's going very well for Yardog, beating us on money and population, but we'll see how things go. It's a very good setup. The signals are all very good, the junctions are by and large are good, but let's see, because a lot of this sort of, I say it's good, but a lot of these sorts of junctions and things, when you get a busy network, they start falling apart and you need to upgrade them very quickly. So I'm interested to see how Yardog then handles the extra freight on the network. But it's found some really good little bits to connect up and is definitely supplying his city very well. Well done, Yardog. Let's move on to the last one. And here we are in our last example here, of course, again in Hellishville, where the road network has been expanded. It probably needs to be expanded a little bit more. The town's already right on the edge with this football stadium, and yeah, these buildings and so forth down here, they need expanding too. There's again, we've got there seems to be a two-station approach, and it says major upgrades coming soon. You can see that there's railway lines due to be connected there. I believe this one has come from SJ because it's called Temple Trains is the company name. If we look at the money, there we go. Not a lot of money, but all the loans gone, and the trains are making some good income. We're actually in June of 1950 on this one, so we're a little bit further ahead in terms of timeline. And Hellishville has got 1,841 people, so a little bit behind our Hellishville, but still doing again very well. If we look at the goals list, we can see that the food and passenger storage is both very good, and the town has been growing for 114 months in a row out of 115, so a similar situation probably as before. So let's see what the world map's like and what's been going on. So let's have a look. Let's turn it to player mode there. It's a bit difficult to see, so I'm just going to quickly change the company colour scheme to one that we can more easily see on the map. There we go. Sorry about that. There we are. And there we are. So we can see that Hellishville has only two major entrances, and we can see that it looks like Slanway again has been used for the purpose of passengers. But looking to the north, there's a lot going on here, and it looks like this is where the industrial network's been connected up. So if we take this massive railway station with its ludicrous junction and take it down the line here, we can see that there is this what appears to be a transfer and hub station. This is a very interesting concept, and actually something that I was thinking of bringing in myself too. So the reason I say this is because getting all these things into Hellishville all at the same time can be tricky. And what you've got here is you've got a transfer station where you can bring in loads and loads of trains. You can have massive tracks, and you're not going to get in the way of the city growth. You're not going to strangle the city, and you're just dropping off everything that you need to. Now it looks like in order to be able to do this, is it possible that the station has been joined? No, they're two separate stations there. So the idea here is that presumably that you can drop off all the different materials, those 9 different resources that are coming into the city, and then just transfer them along this big straight line here with trains going backwards and forwards, which means that you've got a nice, steady, gentle flow of trains that you can easily control with a nice, steady flow of materials. And you need a steady flow of materials coming into the town, because if you have loads come in 1 month and then you miss it for the next 2 months, the town might not grow, and that is really important to keep that growth rate up. So that is a fantastic little thing that's been added in there. If we follow these lines, we can see that it looks like we've got some fishing grounds there, and there. Oh my goodness, we've got 4 sandbanks in a line along the edge of this lake. I wonder if it's like that in our game, because I haven't noticed that. We might have to capitalise on that if that's the case. I don't think you can fund a sandbank. It's a primary resource. Sawmill, stockyard, sugar refinery. No, you can't. So they must have just been naturally generated. Nice little link of railway lines connecting up there with junctions are okay. Junctions are okay. Certainly fine for low traffic trains, and it's definitely been dropped off there. Now we can see here that we've got more sandbanks, and I'm presuming that this is where all that fish is going to come from both sets of sandbanks. And looks like there's provisions for lots of different railway tracks here. I like the use of bridges, and I like the fact that things are looping around nicely. It's a little bit difficult to follow, but I'm sure SJ knows exactly where all this is going. If we follow these lines here, we can say we've got a lucky spawned plastics plant. So here there's a plastics plant. This is definitely not on our list. And you can see that this requires chemicals, and it's right next to an oil refinery which produces chemicals. And of course this oil refinery we know has got 4 or 5 oil wells around it. There's some here to the right because we're using these oil wells as well, and I think there's some over here, and he's also got them as well. So really connecting up all those oil wells, bringing it together and really, like he says, look, he's going straight into this plastics plant. Look, he's even got this little tiny railway track here. This is a dedicated line to pick up the chemicals and drop them off at the plastics plant, and then taking those from the plastic plants, taking the, I think it's manufacturing supplies, we can see this one is 28% full, there we are, on manufacturing supplies, and bringing that down to the fishing. So it looks like a very similar food setup to us, with all these sandbanks going to one particular place here, but with the addition of this plastics plant. A very lucky spawn, very useful for him, and very well put together. Looking forward to seeing how this town grows, because everything seems to be put together quite well in terms of the industries. I'm wondering why it hasn't grown quite so much. Maybe the road network needs expanding a little bit more than it has. And let's have just a quick look again. Yeah, probably just been a little bit unlucky. Looks like out of the 125 months that he had to go, it had a bit of a slow start, but it's going good now. So there we go, that's a look at a number of your Let's Plays. A little bit longer episode than normal, but I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much to NTB Gaming, Stilgar, SJ and Yardog, and everybody else who submitted their cities and their maps. We will be doing this again in the future. Remember to save your game every 5 years, so 1950, 1955, 1960, because I could be calling out any of them for you to send in. If you haven't started playing along yet but would like to, the first video, the first 5 or 10 minutes, has information about how to start playing the game and all the information about how to install the city builder stuff. Join me next time, where we'll be talking very much about the difference between wool and wood, and I hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you have, give it a like, and I hope to see you soon. Take care, but for now, goodbye.